Welcome.
Good afternoon, evening, depending on when you're listening to this.
Hello for all of eternity.
Take a dip and welcome back to your favorite podcast. We are Beyond the Basement, the complete
breakdown podcast.
I feel like we should have a breakdown play right there.
You should.
Like we have the heavy music.
You need to have your guitar with you.
Yes.
And then
just drop a fat breakdown.
Belt out some drop beat.
Well, if you don't know us, if you're for the first time, they call me Eric. To my left / your right is
Rachel.
And to my other direction,
I'm your father. Welcome to the podcast.
His name's actually Pete.
To 4 people in the world, you are indeed their father.
And to millions of online people that I beat at video games, I am
You're also
daddy.
their your daddy.
Because he spanks them.
Getting weird. Okay, so we're on episode 82. This one's called Thaw, and this I'm already losing it here. Season 4, episode 22. Somebody in the chat, please help me out. I feel like I always mess that part up.
Episode 82, right?
It's episode 82, but I think it's also season 4, episode 20-something.
Season 5 episode.
Yeah, season 5. It's season 5, daggone. Season 5, episode 5.
I think it's season 4, episode 23.
Oh, Charlotte is saying 23. That sounds correct.
Oh, hey, look.
Yep, all right. Season 4, episode 23. Before I get to the recap, I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Very, very helpful. If you like the video, you should like the video. There's a button for that, so hit that. That's very helpful.
It looks like this.
And if you haven't yet joined us live, so Sunday nights, we're here on Twitch, 5 p.m. Pacific West Coast time, whatever the heck that is. I don't remember the
currently
numbers.
Pacific Standard Time.
PST.
Psst.
Come join us.
Come join us live on Twitch.
Daylight.
And then also, I've been forgetting this basically since the second half of AOT here. Make sure if you're listening on audio to go find us on Spotify / iTunes or wherever and give us a 5-star review. That would actually be pretty much the most helpful thing you can do. Helps the podcast get around to the world.
You could give us a 17-star review too if that's possible.
If you can fit that many in there, please do.
No manga spoilers.
Also, it was Annie!
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
The whole time.
The question was, and the answer was it was Annie. We had that question right, but the answer was it was Annie. We had the answer right, but the question was, who left wet footprints in the bathroom?
It was Annie.
It was Annie.
It was Annie. Okay,
who
now
broke
we know the question. Okay.
Mr. Leonhardt's knee?
Yeah.
It was Annie. It was always Annie.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys haven't, there's a bunch of people who are kind of like new to the show that are listening through like the current season. Well, a bunch of people have emailed and said, hey, we're going back through season 1. You should go through season 1. I can't remember which episode it is, but as you're listening to the podcast, you will just hear like an abrupt edit and then all of us like still laughing because we were trying to do the whole thing spoiler free. Like we do the spoiler free section and then we would talk about the show, like they'd be like, here's your warning and turn it off. And we would do the spoiler section afterwards. And straight up, we all did it. We all did it at some point
Not
or another.
me. These two did.
Just kidding.
Yeah, it was
just
you. It was you and me. Yeah.
But I I had like a full, just like retarded, like what is wrong with me moment where I was like, oh yeah, so Annie, blah blah, and I'm like, okay, I just spoiled the entire freaking
best
plot
thing was,
here.
it was like 2 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
He was doing the recap.
Yeah.
He was doing the spoiler-free recap.
Spoiler-free
And he's like, so the female Titan. Anyway, Annie, and we just like, we looked at each other like, okay, don't spoil this. Anyway, so Annie, we both broke down laughing and we could not keep it together. We had to restart the whole recording.
We did. I was like,
I don't know if it was that same one, but it was later on. Pete almost said it too.
Yeah.
And I like diverted around.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. There's so many
Both of them
things to
just
keep
had
track
such
of.
a
Yeah, it
hard
was
time with
brutal.
it.
Anyway, go find that episode. I need to post the like unedited version of that on YouTube, just that clip, so you can all see how ridiculous
Bloopers.
it was.
Bloopity bloop bloop
Yeah.
blooper.
Okay, so let's do a recap of the episode for those of you who are listening after the fact. This one is called Thaw. All right, so this one happens with the rumbling. We catch up with Hitch in particular and kind of follow her around for a lot of this episode. People are still talking about, quote, the daydream from Eren and all that jazz. And Hitch she's like a big deal now, it seems like, because she's been guarding Annie and she's kind of telling people what to do and, you know, hey, get the riot gear ready. Because people are like rightfully upset that the walls have like fallen and killed a bunch of people. So there's that. Okay, we finally get to Annie. It happens, like the whole, she's there, she's alive, and we find out that she's been conscious and able to hear as we suspected.
She could hear the whole time.
She's able to hear.
She knows how Armin loves her.
Armin, yeah, that's what I'm curious. How deeply did Armin profess his love? Is the real? How far did he go with that? Because you get weird.
Wow, he thought no one was listening.
Did he tell her how much Bertolt loved her? I wonder.
Did he tell her about that one time in second grade when he accidentally peed his pants and he wanted anybody to know about it? Like, how deep did he go?
It's really okay. He didn't have Eren because Eren was emotionally distant anyway, and then Mikasa was probably too upset about Eren being upset. So Armin's kind of on his own at that point.
Yeah,
he was always the third wheel anyway. Let's be real. That just sucks for him. So they take off on horses, and we get to hear Annie's her version of her own backstory, which is actually extremely helpful.
Yes.
Then of course we get to catch up with the Floch Roach himself and John and Armin and the whole crew. And basically this episode is sort of not recapping, but it's all right, here's all the utter chaos that's going on in the wake of the rumbling.
While giant muscle beasts are just slowly crushing the world.
Crushing the world. We're about to crush the world. But at least they're in single file order. We were wondering for 2 episodes now. We've been
lines.
We're are they going single file? Because that would be less destruction. That would be probably better, right? Yeah, it turns out that's the case. And then, of course, the episode ends with the airships leaving back for... Connie has young Falco with him, which is disturbing, and their exchange. And then the airships are leaving, and we finally see that Hanji and Levi are, in fact, still alive. Praise the Lord, count your blessings. They're still
lost my marbles a little bit.
Yeah, and they catch up with Piek and Magath, and this is going to be super weird. I don't know what's about to happen next, but that's going to get very interesting very fast.
Yeah. We've been kind of hoping for Armin and for Hanji and for Piek to all work together on the same side for once.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. We'll get there when we get there, but I have a lot of thoughts about that last scene. Okay, so let's start at the beginning here. The first thing it actually shows, praise report. They didn't do a 5-minute recap, so that's nice.
Yeah, they just jumped right into it finally.
It's thank you.
So nice.
That's nice of you.
But they did play a weird outro credit scene during the end, that feels just like the end of
a season. Yeah, where they stop.
Are they going to take a break?
They better
Is there not
going
to be an episode next week?
Well, okay, I don't think it's next week, but coming up, I think at the end of March, there is an episode that's already been said that it's going to be delayed by a week. So I think we will have a random off week. I'm pretty sure. And we could do more of the OVA stuff then. At any rate, it's not this time. Okay, so the rumbling's going on, and the rumbling is happening. It specifically highlights it's happening in Trost. And Trost, if I'm remembering right, is the district where
some stuff went down.
Well,
before.
okay, I'm pretty sure that's where the whole remember they had to fight their way back out there. Chat, help me out here. Trost.
That's where the Annie stuff happened, right?
Isn't that where?
No, that's Stohess.
Oh,
Stohess is in the interior. That's where the Annie thing happened. That's behind walls.
Is that the boulder thing?
No, but Trost. Oh wait, yeah, maybe Trost is the one where he plugged it because it's the second time they break the walls.
Eren picks up the?
I think so.
When he finally gets control.
The finale, season 1, the boulder.
That's right, the boulder. Okay,
cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so we got that. All right, so we're back in Trost rather, and I'm not sure why they have to highlight that. I don't know. They just tell you where it's at, and I feel like there's some reason for it. I just couldn't really figure it out. But at any rate, we're catching up with the destruction. And there's people digging people out of rubble and hey, lend me a hand. We got survivors and whatever. And like I said, we see Hitch, and we haven't seen her since.
It's been a minute.
It has been a hot second.
It's supposed to be Stohess.
Oh, really?
That's what he's saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would make more sense, actually, if it actually was. Well, yeah, because Hitch is an
that's
MP.
Where Annie was.
That would make sense. Hitch is an
that's
MP.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
They're inside, yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
They did establish that Hitch was kind of in charge of Annie, though, the last time we saw her.
Yes.
Because she was telling Armin she was going to ban him from coming back to see her. And
yeah, she's kind of in charge of all that jazz.
Somebody said how ironic or how perfect it is that the Hitch, the laziest one out of all of them there, is now the lead MP.
Yeah, the hardest working, the one who actually has purpose in her life. Okay, but remember she lost so at the end of season 3,
Marlo.
She lost Bullcut Man.
Yeah. And then the funny part is later on Annie's you're always telling me about lousy men. I was because none of them are Marlo. They're all lousy except for him.
Yeah.
Which is probably what was happening. Okay, so she's pulling out survivors, and then we kind of get to this scene, which is super, super interesting. I feel like it's setting up a big chunk of the rest of maybe the rest of the show even. We have a bunch of survivors. They're pulling, dead people out, and they're in like maybe like a makeshift hospital looking type of thing. Like they're just some random place where they can put wounded people. And there's like a lady on the floor, like, oh, my son, and it was Eren Yeager's fault. And like this whole conflict thing comes up within the people where it's like, okay, on the one hand, you got a bunch of people who justifiably are like, hey, so Eren did this rumbling thing, and he's like, oh, I'm protecting paradise. But in the process, jacked up and killed a bunch of his own people that he says he's trying to protect.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the reason I want to bring this up. It's reminiscent because we just watched. Now, if this is correct, if that is a mistake, if this is all in Stohess, which I'm pretty sure that sounds right. So I just, right before we watched this one, I watched the last episode of season 1 where the Annie fight thing is happening. I thought it was going to have more to do with this episode than it did, but it was helpful. So they're in that fight, and Eren is actually mad at Annie because there's like civilian casualties happening like on her watch. Now, granted, in her case, it was on purpose, and she did like crush and kill people very much, like not accidentally, but just because she's horrible, I guess.
Yeah.
But he like brings it up, and they have this whole fight in Stohess, and like Erwin is taking heat from Niall and from everybody. And then at the very end of the episode, they have like the whole like tribunal, like the court hearing thing where it's like all the higher ups, and they're like, hammering Erwin. They're like, what about all these dead people? And he's like, listen, it's a sacrifice and it sucks, but what else could we have done? Basically, like this is the only way to move humanity forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to bring that up because like this is another one of Isayama's like tricks to like get you into the moral conundrum of the show. Here's the question. Is it possible in your minds or anybody's mind that even all the destruction of the rumbling that is causing inside of his homeland and just the Eldians that Eren killed when he was in Liberio, and like all of like the death, because Eren's now responsible for a bunch of definitely innocent people's lives been lost.
A ton of them now.
Is that what Eren is thinking? Is he thinking to himself, listen, I don't want to do this, but this is a sacrifice that must be made?
He saw what Annie did. Annie had a mission. She had to fulfill her mission.
Yeah.
And the bodies were collateral, but they were worth it, right? That's what she was thinking.
Now, so going back to Erwin, because Erwin makes that statement, and at the time I agreed with Erwin. I was like, that's not ideal. That's not what you're looking for. But if this is the only way to save all of humanity,
it's a risk that you have to take.
Yeah. I don't like making that calculation. That's like the worst possible scenario.
That's how you lose your humanity.
But or are we just like, Eren's way past that point, it doesn't matter. The reason I'm saying it is because, so like, what is Eren's goal then? Like, if he's that...
I'm just saying it's interesting. You kind of have to turn off your humanity to save humanity. It's like...
Yeah, well, the line is...
Yeah. They talk about that.
You have to put away your humanity to become a monster, and that's what Annie did. She had to put away, like, her hopes, her dreams, her feelings, whatever, and she had to see people as less than human in order to accomplish her goal, which, in her case, was pretty self-centered. In Eren's case, we hope it's for the greater good. It's, the greater good. It's to help everybody in the world.
That's a thing.
But to do so with the minimal casualties possible is heroic. To do so just to get it done is like what Zeke was doing. Like, I don't care how many people it takes, I'll kill everybody.
Yeah.
Which is what we morally disagree with. We don't want that to happen. But if this is really the only way. However, we do see some seeds in this episode that maybe things are not quite exactly what's going to... More is going on than meets the eye, right? We see Eren, and he's causing this rumbling to happen, and all of the Eldians all over the world are going, no, you guys, we have to get out of this internment zone. Eren, they're coming.
Right.
And what do the people go like, okay, well, you're right. We don't want to die. And they go, you guys are all in conspiracies, right? We see the scene in Liberio.
Mm-hmm.
We see, the guards pulling their guns on Mr. Leonhardt and Mrs. Browse.
Browse, yeah.
And
Braun.
Mr. Braun, yeah, Reiner Braun. Mr. Reiner Braun's mom and everybody, they're pulling their guns out, and they're like, we're going to arrest you guys all. And Annie Leonhardt's dad, Mr. Leonhardt, like, he sees the promise in his mind, and he stands up, and he begins to revolt. There's a revolt that happens in Liberio because of the events that Eren set off. And what if this is the intention of Eren? What if he saw all this happen, and he goes, this is the only way to get my people free, is I've got to fake this big rumbling. To make them rise up, to get them out of the place.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still going to crush the world. It's going to be terrible. But hopefully there's something more going on here.
Well, yeah, that's what... Okay, so that is a big question. So there's some good comments going on in the chat here. So the Sean one is saying, well, he's committing omnicide. I'm like, not heard that term before, but that seems very correct. He's just killing anybody and everything at all times. Ubiquitous killing, I guess. It's one way to end.
At least he's not prejudiced in his mass murder.
He doesn't discriminate who he kills.
No, he doesn't.
Which is that... I've argued this for years. Is that worse or is that better?
Worse or better?
Like, at least racist, like, I hate him, but at least they're like, no, I recognize that you're different than somebody else. But
I'm still going to kill you because you're different. Yeah.
But then other people are like, I don't care who you are. I'll kill you the same. I'm like, at least recognize, okay, that we're beautiful and unique before. All right, anyway.
Yeah, they're all bad. Well, okay, that's the thing is like, okay, I know we've already hit this. Like, I feel like I bring this up like once an episode since it happened. But Eren and Liberia, when he first transformed, he's there with Reiner in the basement, and he's like, don't make me do it. But he has plans he knows he's going to do it. That's the whole plan, is to pop up or whatever. And like Reiner specifically says, like, there's civilians up there. Like, what do you, like, don't do this. And like Eren puts him down there to like hold him hostage to talk to it, which maybe you could have just wrote him an actual letter or like, I don't know, not gone to coffee, like anything but that.
No, he needed to see him face to face. He needed to confront him.
Go to coffee. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to, if they have coffee shops in the interma zone, surely LDN coffee's decent, right?
Who knows? Who can say?
I mean, if they are from the Middle Eastern Empire, if some of them are, they've got maybe the Turkish coffee.
Oh, yeah. Arabica or something like that. So, at any rate, I'm saying, like, he definitely has civilian casualties there. And then fast forward to just the rumbling itself is causing a bunch of casualties. Remember, they were kind of upset that, oh no, what am I missing?
I couldn't keep in my laugh.
It's the Meninder Paul. He's doing Norm jokes.
He's just trolling.
Do you know what the worst thing about Eren is? It's the hypocrisy. You know what the worst thing.
Yeah, totally.
Norm Macdonald, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Okay, but like,
sorry.
Eren's killed a bunch of people, including his own. So yeah, the rumbling kills his own citizens. He had to have known that. And then, okay, even though he's claiming to protect Paradise, and on top of that, he didn't do anything about the Titans that were in the area. They were attacking his friends, right?
That's true.
The people he cared about more than Jean and all them had to take care of those Titans, and he's like, I care about you more than anything.
Yeah. Did he just trust them to take care of business?
Like, okay, so I've been like waffling on Eren kind of the second half of season 4 because I'm like, oh no, he did have a secret plan. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, but you told Mikasa you hated her.
You son of a
freaking suck it.
And
like
it's a bad secret plan. Like,
it is.
Kill everyone else.
Also, where the frick is her scarf? But anyway.
Yeah, where is her scarf? And then not just that, but like, okay, so make everyone you love mad at you. Tell them it's kind of for their own good. Maybe they go off to like run off to like kill the world. Is Eren? Do you remember with like, what's his face with his dad and stuff like that? It's like you see Eren going back in time and like influencing his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Is this really Eren, or is this like the combination of the Titans, or like is something else? We asked this a lot before we saw the Ymir episode. Yeah, but it like is something else inside of Eren, or someone else inside of Eren that's also making all of this happen? Or are we supposed to still believe like, no, he's just this one person who's just seen the future and has all these special powers.
Says, I am myself. I am who I've always been since I was born.
He did say
it. I mean, if he's to be believed, he's the one who's caught doing the influencing, not being influenced, which is what we thought for so long.
What I'm saying here is I'm having a harder and harder time finding any way that he like turns this thing around as like, actually, JK, 3D chess move, I'm the good guy. Like, I did this all for everyone's betterment. Like, it just is getting harder to see that.
I do think, Christian's got a point. Zeke mentioned that Eren doesn't see everything, so we've seen him be surprised a lot. So he might be winging it. That's true, but I do think he has a rough outline of plan of what he's supposed to do, and I think that plan is to become the villain, to unite everybody else, to bring all of the hatred upon himself and not upon the people group, right?
Okay,
because even if the Eldians are working alongside the Marlians, alongside the East Empire,
it's
alongside
true. They
the
all have a reason
Azumabitos,
to unite against him.
And he
now.
goes like, "No, stop hating the people. It's me and the powers. I'm going to gather up all the powers. I'm going to harden all the powers together. They're going to be done forever, and you never have a reason. So now my people can be free, truly free." I think that's his ultimate plan. I think it's the tragedy of it all is he's going to have to lay his life down. So it is an ultimate net good. How many people have to die for that good to happen?
In that process.
Hopefully not that many, but we're seeing the fallout. And even in his own island, he cares so much about
people
getting trampled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's definitely casualties all around.
The first scene is these like factions forming.
Don't say that. Plot twist, Floch has the scarf. Don't say that,
No,
man.
please, God, no. Please not let it not be Floch. Gosh. Okay, the people are talking, and they're talking about,
this divided.
They're divided. They're saying this is Eren's fault, and because of Eren, my house is gone, and my family's dead. My son was killed. He's killing his own people.
Other people are like, he's a hero.
Well, other people are chiming in. They're saying, well, the whole world was going to come and slaughter all of us unless he did the rumbling. And while we were watching, you'll see in the reaction, I'm like, okay, these are kind of both a little valid, though, because both of those statements are true. Yes, this is Eren's fault that these immediate
the walls
casualties
are crushing people's houses and killing them.
But at least they're trying to walk out single file. I mean, they mention that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the world is planning to come and invade Paradise and take them.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole Marley showing up was essentially for the tip of the spear. It seems like that's kind of was the whole point. So they eventually start chanting. Well, I once really loved the "Give Your Heart, Shinzo Sasageo." I was like all about it. Like season 1 through 3, you're like, yeah, dude, freaking let's go. I don't know. I'm not feeling it anymore because
now it has a little bit of a Heil Hitler feel to it. It's a little bit.
Yeah, not so great.
Yeah.
And they literally say that a line in here. One of the people says the sacrifice was worth it. Like basically for your family and so on. So Hitch is with, I don't know who the other guy is, but they're like, this is going to turn into trouble. Like the people are going to clash. Like we better we got to get ready for this.
Get the riot gear.
Okay, so she gets the riot gear out. She's like, everybody get your stuff out. And this is where we get to the Annie deal. She sees wet footprints in the hall. Always a bad sign. Nobody was taking a bath. Also, wait.
Apparently the crystal melted like ice.
That was my next question. What is the liquid?
It's the thaw. I mean, it was,
So Titan hardening turns into a liquid.
It just dissolved like ice.
Remember what they had? They had to drink something to get the hardening power. I don't know.
Maybe that's what.
What even is a Titan? Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I just am horrified to say
she's
what.
She's just covered in her own sweat.
That I was like, I don't want to say that, but that's it's just in a pool of her own.
Why is she wet?
Maybe that's what Eren has to do to cause world peace: is show the world his abs.
Does she smell absolutely horrible?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Oh, yeah. 4 years.
You would think that Hitch would have said something if that was the case, because she's kind of mouthy.
Also, Hitch wouldn't have not known that she was in the left corner of the room. She would have been like, "Oh, I can smell you from here." Like, good lord.
Yeah.
Okay, well, at any rate, so yeah, she follows the footprints. They find her, and she opens the door and looks the wrong direction. You said it. I didn't catch this quite. She intentionally made the footprints go the other direction. You think?
Like an old spy move, right?
Yeah.
Like you lead them one way, and then you're on the other side of the door. They open the door, they follow the footprints, and you freaking jumping from behind.
Okay, all right.
Genius.
She is pretty smart.
She's already she's barely functioning, and she's still outsmarting Hitch. Yeah.
Now Hitch freaking tossed. She's like, "Hey, don't move, or I'll freaking kill you." She still has the ring on. My first instinct was like, "How'd they let her have that ring?" I'm like, "Oh, she was frozen in a crystal. They couldn't touch her." So she still has the ring. And she's like, "I'll freaking cut your throat." And she says, "First, take off your jacket." And I'm like, "Oh, she's planning to do the old, put on a disguise and hightail it out of here." And then, of course, Hitch tosses her over and is like, "You're like a granny. Like, you're weak. You're freaking weak." And I was wondering this as well. I'm like, how emaciated is she actually going to be? Because she has the power of the Titans. So I don't think she's going to die. She can heal and, whoa, you don't need to eat.
Yeah.
Ever?
I don't know.
Well, she survived for 4 years without eating.
The shifters were eating, though.
It's not
she was in some sort of coma state.
Yes. Yeah. You're frozen. It's not like you could eat or drink or breathe or anything.
She was on hibernate.
She was on pause.
Yeah. She went into to chrono sleep, and she's fine.
Somebody made a comment, but I don't know where the heck it was. It was back there. Wait. How come, and why did her hardening melt, but the walls didn't melt?
Yeah. The walls broke down or something.
It just broke. Why is there no consistency in this universe?
There's a lot of consistency. It just
there is, but I mean the titaniness.
Yeah.
Nate the Great had a good point. He said it wasn't just that the whole world was going to come to get them. It was all of the media, all of the world leaders, all of the generals, all the military agreed to go to war against Paradise.
Yes.
They agreed to do that before Eren ate Willie Tiber.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It's not like it's completely unjustified to defend yourself, but defense, in my opinion, is too much when like I said, the analogy is someone goes to break into your house, you can stop them with lethal force. But I can't drive to their house and shoot their whole family. Like, that's not self-defense anymore.
Way too much.
Non-justifiable.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so Annie's on the ground, and she's like, she gets tossed down there, and it's just, I was having such a hard time. I've been watching through season 1, but I haven't gotten this far yet. I was having such a hard time remembering Hitch and Annie's relationship before this, because Annie says, "You of all people," and she says it a couple of times. Like, she's upset that it was like,
well, I mean,
oh God, it had to be you.
They were roommates, and they weren't exactly besties.
Okay.
I think it's less to do with
As I
that
recall.
and more to do with Hitch is the one who's been talking to her all this time.
Yeah.
And so the one person she like tries to kill is the one person she
doesn't
has
want to kill.
A relationship
relationship with.
Okay. That makes sense. So she says, she goes to call for help, and she's like, "No, it's too late now. I got blood on my hands. So you basically just do as I say." And I love that Hitch is so like sharp. She's actually become this like smart operator herself. She's like, "I don't think so. Like, you're too weak. You don't have any energy to do anything, let alone transform." And she's like, "Well, maybe not. I guess just won't know until I try."
We got to know that Hitch isn't a dummy if she's an MP. You know, she was in the top of her class, so she's not a total idiot.
Right, but she's so lazy.
She's just super lazy, which is perfect for the
prime
MPs.
Yeah, it's easy to become the leader of the MPs.
Okay, but she turned over a new leaf, okay?
She did, yeah.
So, all right, so they go and they get the horses. We're always end up in horse stalls in this show. Somehow, like, it keeps happening.
I was waiting for the horse to bite her.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no.
That's the guy.
Eren's like, do it.
So they're getting the horses, and Annie's basically tells her, she says, "Listen, you're smarter than I thought." And Hitch says, "Listen, if you're trying to leave, I actually don't have any reason to stop you." And this is my thought as well during this whole bit. I'm like, listen, 12 hours ago, maybe it would have made a difference whether or not you like held this prisoner and like, you know, but at this point, like, what does anything matter except for the fact, like,
there's massive giants crushing everything.
the apocalypse is literally happening right now.
Yeah.
Why bother arguing about anything? I feel like the most valuable thing in the world here is like a good shot of whiskey. Like, you just get me through the rest of this before the world's over, and we'll just call it good.
Where's Pixis' secret stash?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously.
Okay, however, that is one perspective. I'd like to offer another perspective.
Let's hear it.
Floch has another perspective. Floch's perspective is...
You taking Floch's side?
No, it's just
you
easy.
part of Floch's flock?
No, I'm just saying he has a different viewpoint. His viewpoint is, we've done it.
We won.
It's over, right?
Right.
It's over. He even tells John it's over. John's like, it's over? We've been fighting. They've been fighting their whole lives.
To protect the island.
And all of a sudden, he goes, it's over. The rumbling's going on out there. It's not going on in here.
Right.
They're all leaving.
The walls are
we've
gone.
got a little bit of cleanup to do or whatever, right? But listen, we don't have to worry about anything anymore. Eren's done it. His plan succeeded. He's going to go take on the whole world. All we have to do is make sure the island is ready for like Eren's like glorious return is kind of what his thought is,
or
right?
something, yeah, if that happens.
Eren's going to take care of everything outside of the island, and all we have to do is take care of the stuff on the island, okay? So it's another perspective. Everyone outside of the island does have to be worried about the apocalypse because the rumbling's coming and they're all going to get stomped. It's going to be bad. But everyone on the island, it's like things aren't going to get any worse because there's no more fear anymore of who's going to come to get you. No one's coming to get you. We've sent offense to go out there, and the best defense is a good offense.
Unless they have airplanes.
and so I think what his thought is, and I'm not saying he's right, I'm just saying his thought is like, we've done it. We can relax now. We don't have to fight anymore. We can have the good life now. We've done all we need to do. Everything's going to be fine. Stop fighting. And yet all of the scouts are like, we got to go stop Eren. We got to go fight. We got to stop Connie. We got to do all these things. Like the drama and the anxiety is still there. But for Floch, this is paradise for him. And the chaos, out of the rubble, something's going to emerge. And he believes it's going to be this Jaegerist nation. It's one united Eldea.
Utopia. Yeah.
Utopia, right? Exactly.
Good
on the
luck
earth.
with that, bro.
And so I think even though, like you're saying, like the apocalypse is here, who cares about these things? What's important is the values that come out of the revolution are the values that are going to shape the world to come. And so it better be the right values that come out of this. You better be the key Sadies, right? And not the friggin' Jaegerists, but we'll see.
Okay. So
It sucks to suck, King Floch.
yeah, dude. So Hitch kind of is like, I won't have to stare at your face anymore. And Annie is like, I won't have to hear you complain about lousy men anymore. And she's like, wait a second, you were conscious the whole time? Again, question answered. We've been wondering this for forever. We know people were down there talking to Annie. We saw her crystal. We know Armin was down there and Hitch was down there.
I wonder if Hanji went to visit her.
That's a good question. Yeah, you have to wonder who else. And so, but I love that they finally answered the question. And like I said, I know this line is extremely subtle, but she says, I don't have to listen to you rant about lousy men. It suggests that in the last 4 years, we have a deeper sense of Hitch as a character. She's a young woman. She lost kind of the only love in her life, it sounds like, in Marlowe. And is like tried to move on, but everybody else sucks. And it's actually kind of an emotional thing. I'm like, that sounds horrible.
But also, who are you going to date? People in the interior?
I know,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Not my type. So she brings that whole thing up, and she says, yeah, for 4 years, it was like watching someone else's distant dream. I could hear you, and I could hear Armin, but everything in between was all the same. It was just pure darkness. And they show on the screen this like orange like haze, which must be
you're looking through eyelids trying to.
I'm guessing that's what that is.
It was like completely dark unless they would speak, and then a little bit of something would shine through.
Yeah.
Almost no visual at all. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have ever been into a sensory deprivation chamber.
No.
I have not.
Sounds horrifying.
It's pretty crazy. If you ever watch like the show Alone, they put these people alone on an island with nobody else, and they're 100% secluded.
And they lose their absolute minds, I'm sure.
And everyone has like incredibly emotional moments. And part of the reason that is psychologically is because when you have nobody else to talk to, you have no more distractions, you have nothing else to like keep your focus. What do? Your mind has to go back and process repressed, painful memories.
Yeah.
And all these things keep coming up, all the traumas of your past or whatever. And so you'll see these people. It's really fascinating psychologically to watch this episode of Alone or whatever, is you're watching these people and they're forced to deal with their own issues.
That's crazy.
It's actually, in my opinion, beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
It's difficult, but probably good for you.
Yes.
Like,
a ton of people tap out. They're like, no, let me out of here. I can't deal with it. Everybody cries at some point. You got these tough like log men up in the wood. There's cutting trees down or whatever, and they're like, I got to get ready because tomorrow there's going to be a flood. I got to what? And they're there just to survive, but we're not meant to merely survive. And midway through cutting down, they start to like cry. They're like, all I care about is my family, and all the important things begin to come to the surface. And this is what happens in every tragedy: is people like realize what's truly important. And I remember there was a scene that I saw from a newscast when there was this terrible tsunami that happened. And this crazy tsunami had happened, and it had wiped out so many people's homes. And there were all these people, these big businessmen. And they were there, and there was just like tear-stained faces. And they were there crying because everything they had was taken away from them. They had put like all of their hope into
their material stuff.
Their houses. They put all into their cars and their jobs or whatever, and it was all gone in one day. And truly, like, it saddened me because I'm like, no, don't put your hope in just material things, because that won't fulfill you. The important things are way more valuable than just the physical things, and all these things begin to come to fruition. And so Annie, bringing it all back, has been in a sensory deprivation chamber for like 4 years.
That's
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time.
Which is enough to drive someone absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But the one thing that kind of kept her like probably like sane is you got two people talking to her, Armin and Hitch.
Yeah.
And Armin's been like giving her the gospel. He's been like, listen, a lot of people are hurt. We don't know what's going on. Eren's turning to a Titan. He's been kind of like using her as his own, therapist.
Therapy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so that's the one thing. And then Hitch has apparently been asking her, are you happy that your mission has caused so many people to die? And she's been having to mull it over again and again and again for years at a time.
This is a really good observation.
Alone with her thoughts. And now all of a sudden she comes out, and what is she? She's like totally repentant. She's like, I did some terrible things. They're inexcusable.
Yeah,
but I
unforgivable.
realized that everything doesn't just not matter to me anymore.
Yeah.
There's somebody that matters to me, and it's my father, and I'll do anything to get back to him.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because in that season 1, the last episode of season 1, Eren actually like is mad at her because he's like, you always just act like nothing matters, like you don't care, and like you're always just bored. And he's like, I used to just think you were just a terrible liar, and like he's mad at her because he's like, no, stuff, because Eren's like the opposite. Like he's deeply involved in like, so he's not aloof from almost
deeply
anything.
Emotional about many things.
Yeah, he's just like an emotional like guy or whatever, and cares a lot about. He cares very deeply about stuff, and so I can relate a little bit. Like I tend to be closer to that side where I'm like, I like especially when I was younger, I like cared about everything really deeply. So it was really hard for me to be around people who were like, nah, just like whatever. Like the flippant attitude and like the purposeful kind of like, what's the word for it? Smugness of people being like, it doesn't matter, like whatever. Like it just used to really irk me, so I can kind of understand that. And so you fast forward to now, and it is what we thought it was, which is it was her emotional armor, right? Like she was putting around an emotional wall, which now 4 years later inside of this crystal, like it's been undone, and like, yeah, you have some time to sit down and like work through all that stuff. Certainly we know she's in it for her, quote, dad. So this is kind of where it takes us next. She says, I always knew, or thanks to you guys, I always knew what was going on. So she knows, we assume she's basically up to current.
Right.
She's not like been in like a total mystery, which again is a very Isayama thing to do. How many other writers would be like, hey, just so you know, this character does or does not remember these certain events. Mm-hmm. He actually does a lot of that, where like a character, like when freaking Marley comes in and invades Shiganshina just like a few episodes back, like, they didn't know about the Zeke plant. Like, they didn't know. And, like, it's so difficult to keep in mind what characters know what information at what time, because there's so many.
Yeah.
But I swear, like, I've yet to find, like, a legit plot hole that's related to that. Maybe there is one where a character knew some information they shouldn't. But, like, you watch, like, almost any movie. And at some point, you're like, wait a second.
You can't go 10 minutes without like, hey, wait.
That plot hole is the size of Jupiter. What the heck? Anyway.
Why did you know to shoot that direction? That doesn't make any sense. But at any rate, so she says, I always knew what was going on. And then suddenly I was thrown back into this world, and I heard Eren's voice. And then she asked the question, is he serious about destroying the world? And, okay, I have to comment on this. Suddenly she's thrown back into the world. We know Eren did it, right? He undid, like, all Titan hardening. Mm-hmm. Did he mean to set Annie free? Is my first question.
I don't know. He just undid all the hardening.
Or did he just generically...
Based on how calculated he seems to have been for the last several episodes, it would shock me if he didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
But honestly, based on, like I said, how much he seems to have thought everything through, that wouldn't really fit if he just carelessly let Annie go.
Yeah. It would be weird.
And if his intention really is to gather all the powers together and end them, he would need her to be free to do that.
That's true. And I think in order for that hardening to happen in the long run, he's got to have her as well.
Yeah. She's the key to fusing everyone together, if that is indeed the plan.
If that's where it goes, yeah.
The other thing is we were saying the Titans. If the Wall Titans just move like zombies and they have no intelligent direction, then basically he's freed them and they're going to do what they're going to do on their own.
They're like giant Roombas. They're just going to like vacuum up everything.
Oh my gosh.
The rumbling is just the giant Roomba. Yeah.
They misspelled rumbling. They meant to spell the Roomba. Like that was it.
Yeah. So, however, what we noticed from this episode is they're not just.
It was Annie.
They're not just going with no direction. They went in a single file line, right?
Yeah.
And somebody had a really good comment. They think that all the Titans in the walls, right? Boom, the walls fall. They're all right there. What if they all just went to those outcroppings following that line, and they just walked? They walked where the wall was, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to cause as minimal damage possible, hopefully. And they went to those alcoves in the very corners, and they all walked in all four cardinal directions towards where they need to go.
That would make sense.
And it seems like that was what was happening.
Yeah.
And if that's what's happening, then they're being directed. They're being directed directly. They're directly being directed.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then Eren has more control than we think. And if that's the case, then I think that he also does things like melt Annie on purpose.
Yeah. It would make sense. So that kind of part of my other question, I suppose, with Annie breaking out of her crystal here is I wondered this at the time, like, did she do it to herself? Did she know she could do it? Is this a thing you can practice? Like, it just seems odd.
Yeah.
She didn't, like, could she not have let herself out? Did she not want to let herself out?
Yeah.
I don't think she had. It made it seem like, based on this episode, that she didn't have control over what happened to her.
It's sort of, even, so like I said, we went back and watched it, and like, she's like crying, and then the crystal just like forms of her. Her eyes are closed. Like, she doesn't seem like she's like functioning. It's this weird, almost like automatic ejection seat type of thing that just sort of, it's almost like it happens to her as much as she decides to have it happen to her. But like I said, so does that mean she she wanted to leave for 4 years but couldn't. I don't know. Like, it's just really not clear. So at any rate, she asks, is Eren serious about destroying the world? She goes outside and she sees the Titans. And Hitch is like, well, look beneath her feet. And she sees all the death and the destruction and the rubble. And she says, I've made a meaningful job for myself as a soldier cleaning up after you and Eren. Which, if you remember in Stohess, right, which is where all this junk happened, is 4 years ago. Again, if you watch that episode, like, they jack up the freaking city and, like, lots of people just get squished. And it's pretty, it's pretty horrifying.
Doesn't Annie's leg go through a church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I think that's maybe where, when you have no challenges, there's nothing for you to make you stronger, right?
You say in the interior, they're just soft, so they're an
soft
easy target
because they don't need to be hard, because everything is easy, everything is just cushion, everything is the easy life, right? It's that whole, hard times make hard men. When life is hard, you have to rise to the occasion, otherwise you're going to die. So on the outside in Shiganshina, they're all hard as nails, right? Yeah. Levi and whatnot, right?
All the freaking scouts.
Annie, they had to be hard, right? And then on the inside, they're all like super squishy, right? As soon as a Titan comes to the inside of the walls, the MPs are like, what do we do against the Titan, right? Because they haven't ever seen it before. The scouts mess them up because they're tough.
Right.
And so I think that even though it's a terrible tragedy, the fact that Hitch had to kind of grow up and had to kind of like clean up after all these bodies and like take responsibility.
That's kind of what changed her and made her a different person.
I think that's what made her like strong.
Dang, that's probably correct though. That sounds about right. I mean, she made a point, like, I've been doing this for years now. Like, this has like been her job. Okay, so hang on, I write this down. So they go, let's see here. They walk outside, she's look beneath her feet, and this is where she kind of gets to that point you were just saying is, Hitch asks her, she's like, how does it feel to see the bodies you crushed for your grand mission? And Annie's like, yeah, well, the thing is I actually molded over a lot because you asked me that a lot, and I was aware of it. And she says something that Gabi said. She says we were praised for killing people. Mm-hmm. And it just, again, shows you, like, the depravity inside of Marley as well. We've been commenting on this, like, from the first time that we saw what Marley was like with feeding Grisha's sister to the dogs and stuff. Like, all of it, I'm like, dude, this is a very corrupt, very, like, bad place. And Annie understands it now, too. She says, we were taught as soldiers that it was fine to kill. It was fine to kill soldiers, other soldiers. It was fine to kill civilians, fine to kill Eldians. Because really what we were doing is we were atoning for Eldia's sins. And because of this, anything we did was justified. And I feel like this is in the story. Like, sometimes I picture myself reading the manga, like, after I watched the episode, and I just have to think, I definitely would have stopped at that line, because I did in my head when she said it. Anything we did was justified. And maybe that's the grand, like, kind of comment on, like, humanity and society that's going on in the show, is that logic seems to be going through a lot of people's minds. Yeah. And it's part of the reason it's so interesting is because that sounds very similar to what was going on in World War II. There's so much of
multiple times.
There's so
look
many.
At the rape of Nanking. Like,
yes,
it's all justified.
Across the world.
Look at the internment camps. So it's all justified, right?
Friggin' Hitler's whole deal was like, oh, well, this is for the good of the people. This is for your safety. Like, he always pitched it like the whole propaganda ministry in Germany at the time. The whole deal was like, this is for the Ministry of Public Safety, right? So you're really familiar right now, but like that was their whole pitch. Like, this is for your good. This is for your good. Like, you need to let us, have tyranny and reign over you so that there's not tyranny and reign over you. You're like, wait, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But like, she's saying it so simply. In our minds, anything we did was justified, which means, like, is that not like the heart of like wickedness? Is that not like can you not sum up like evil any better than that? Like, never does a man or a woman, does somebody do something evil and not think to themselves that they were right for having done it, or that they were justified, I should say.
Right.
It always happens.
We will find every way to justify doing the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
But who are the heroes? Think about every single story forever. Who are the heroes? Are the heroes people who cast off restraint and do as they please, or are heroes the ones who are disciplined enough, who are self-controlled enough to do the hard things?
Right.
Those are the heroes. Those are the ones we used to praise in virtue. Nowadays, we praise celebrities who do terrible things, right? However, those are the true heroes that ring true in our culture, in our society, and outside of that, into like all cultures. it's the ones who are disciplined, right? Like it's the ones who have been training their whole lives. It's the one who's been raising up. It's the ones who show up who are capable enough to protect the ones they love and and it's the meekness thing. It's the having that sheath sword. You have power and you know when to use it. You don't just wave it around and do as you please, but you know when to pull it out. And that is like the ultimate heroic trait. And yet here we're being taught, no, just do as you please. Anything you want to do is justified.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's like, it's just so interesting what she's saying here because it's a narrative is what it is. It's a story. You were told a story that Eldia sinned and you're atoning for those sins. Therefore, anything you do, killing whoever, is justified. And it worked. I'm saying the narrative worked on Annie as a young woman, and then you give her 4 years in the crystal. Remember we were talking about prison change, Connie?
Yeah.
The crystal actually changed Annie. Like she actually spent solitary confinement will do that to you. She had a lot of time to mull it over, and like
I'm curious in their relationship.
I've got
Eren and Annie's relationship. What are they going to say to each other? What's going to happen?
I have to wonder, and like I'm at least glad they answered another question. Remember we were talking about, do you think Annie was in like the coordinate plane or whatever, like during that whole thing? It sounds like no. Sounds like she was not.
No, I think she was.
She heard him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm saying for the vision. But I'm not saying for 4 years. She was.
Oh yeah. I don't think she was
in the desert of sadness.
I don't think so.
What I was wondering, I don't know if I said this one. I had this theory at some point. I don't know if I said this on the show or not, but one of my thoughts was like I was wondering if Annie was like in that. You know how Ymir was kind of in that dream state, like if she was like in one of those for 4 years, so it was as if she had lived for like a few decades, or if she was in the coordinate planes, maybe she lived for like quote hundreds of years inside there and then came back out like 4 years later.
I don't know.
I was like, dude, if that was the case, she'd be completely different. She is different, but
yeah.
Connie needs a hug.
He does. Well, he needs his mommy. So yeah, she says we were 24 Eldians. Anything we did was justified, and Hitch is like, yeah, you were. Armin told me all about it. He said that you guys were trying to stop that, pointing over at the rumbling, and she goes, saving the world didn't matter to me. None of it did. And Hitch again is kind of like confused. Like I thought you were just telling me like you regretted some of this stuff. And so then we finally get to Annie's backstory. Okay, we've been theorizing about this for forever, for so freaking long. She says, I was abandoned by my parents. I came from my mother's affair with an Eldian. She doesn't say her mother isn't Eldian, but it sounds like her mother was not.
Sort of implied.
But yeah, based on that phrasing, I would say her mother was not an Eldian.
Yeah.
Her father was an Eldian.
And so this would be a similar scenario to Reiner, even Kassavar's deal. Like this whole like non-Eldians having affairs with the Eldians producing children seems to have happened like a lot.
Right.
So it seems like a similar situation. So the child is abandoned. Even the Historia situation is like there's a lot of that in the show.
Yeah. With Reiner it's opposite, right? His dad is a Marleyan, his mother is an Eldian. But with Annie, we find out that her mom was non-Eldian, her dad was an Eldian. We called this forever ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
We called this during season 1 or 2 or whatever.
I don't think season 4 had started. It was during the initial part of our podcast.
Yeah.
I think we might have been in season 3 or something like that, but we definitely commented on this and we're like, what if
she's adopted?
She's adopted.
Yes.
And like that's not like her real like dad or whatever. It's just such it felt like a long shot.
It did. But
it was right.
We were right. There's been a ton of stuff we've been wrong about. We were right about this.
We weren't sure if she was adopted or if he was just like a caretaker of her and her father was just really distant or something like that.
We thought maybe her mom died or was taken away.
Or like you said, like it wasn't her real dad.
She was from a wealthy family, but she was raised by someone else, which is probably true.
When we saw season 4, we're like, what if Annie was part of the Tiber family? She got
has
the blonde hair.
Seems about the right size.
We've also thought maybe she was royal because she could do the Titan scream to a degree and cause Titans to like not really be commanded, but like
they came to her.
Yeah.
And they did what she wanted them to do,
which was eat her, but they always eat everybody. Sure. So maybe, she has some royalty, which is the Tiber family, the royal family that was left in Marley, and the branch off royal family was the Fritz family.
The bloodlines thing is getting complicated.
We're still going to have to figure that one out. But we were right. She's from a wealthy family. She's given up for adoption. She's adopted by this Mr. Leonhardt, and she was trained mercilessly. He thought of her as a means to an end to get to get something, right?
It says that she was picked up by this guy in an internment zone by a foreigner with Eldian blood. So he's not Marleyan. He's from somewhere else, it sounds like.
But he has Eldian blood just like her.
But he's an Eldian. So
my guess is he's also half Eldian and half some other nationality.
Yeah.
That's my guess, because she said they were put there for similar reasons.
Exactly.
Which makes me think he's probably half Eldian and half something else.
I mean, I don't...
And the martial arts thing makes me think it's some sort of Asian.
We thought it was Thailand. Oh, I thought it was Thailand because she takes like a Thai boxing stance.
True. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
My theory for a second, I almost fell out of my chair with this one was, what if she was Mr. Casaver's child? What if, because Casaver was, Eldian, right? He was the man. He had an affair with a non-Eldian. The non-Eldian.
They conceived, yeah.
They conceived. They had a child, whatever. She killed himself and she killed the baby. But what if there was another child, there was something going on or whatever, but I was like, wait a second, what color hair did she have? They said that she had black hair, but I was like, that would be crazy if
that was
she's actually like Zeke's kind of sister because she's the real descendant of Casaver, but not, pretty nuts. It seems more likely to me that Willie Tiber or one of the Tibers is the shoot off, but just because they have blonde hair doesn't mean anything.
I guess it's hard to tell. I don't know, and maybe we don't get any more than that, other than that's just she has this like shady past or whatever. Not shady, true. But like what? Black
hair and blonde hair can come from the same family, just like Historia and Freda. It's true.
Sure enough.
That's true. Yeah, when that thought came to me, I was like, because I was like, who do we know that's an Eldian man that could be like a lot? It's like Casaver, like he had this affair.
Yeah. I'm still thinking it's Willie Tiber, but we'll see.
Maybe. It like rocked me. I like had to have a couple seconds. And I was like trying to put the pieces together, see if everything would fit properly.
What if this is it?
Dude, what a shock that would be. Though. What if she shows up to Zeke and goes like, Casaver was actually my dad somehow, and he's just like,
yeah. Well, it's now that we haven't seen Zeke in a second. We don't know what became.
That's true.
It's funny because even in this episode, nobody's asked where he is.
Where is
no one has
What's
even mentioned his name.
Zeke? Well, what does Eren even look like right now? That's what I want to know.
Yelena's asked where Zeke is, but just not out loud. Yeah.
But like no one's been like, should we go look for his body or something? Like he just apparently doesn't matter. I don't know. One thing I know for sure is he's not dead because dude does that's not something he does.
Yes. Apparently Eren picked him up in his mouth and left with him. Is what people were saying. I couldn't tell. I need to go back and rewatch that part, but that's what they were saying.
I was too busy losing my mind to notice those details, so good job.
Yeah. Okay, so she says, picked up by this foreigner with Eldian blood. His only goal was to make me a warrior to give himself a better life. So they show him training her, and he's like slapping her down, which... Even just in like an animated show, like cool. A grown man like hitting a young woman like that, like maybe a blood boil, I was like, I will end you, bro. Just made me so mad.
Even though it's Annie, it's still wrong.
Yeah, right? It's still wrong. Okay, so she says he drilled me in the martial arts of his homeland. So again, even the fighting style, and we all noted this, like it's been literally since season 1, that Annie's like fighting capabilities, like her style was just better than everybody else's.
Yes.
So we knew that he had trained her. Again, that was kind of, she'd had other flashbacks in season 1 where you sort of see a little bit of that. So we're like, that's where she got her fighting skill from. So we knew that as well. But now we know, okay, it's from another nation entirely, not even Marley. So that's why she was such a good fighter. So my only value the only value I had was if I could become a warrior. I became strong and I repaid him for all the pain and suffering he put me through. I made it so he couldn't walk straight, and then
she actually they show the flashback, like she trips him up, and like it looks like it breaks his leg or like hurts his knee or whatever.
And she still goes at him,
stomps his knee until it bends backwards, basically, and he's screaming, and then laughing because he's insane apparently.
What the heck? There's an entire emoji for it. Oh, it's an octopus. Okay. Okay, so she says, I became strong, repaid him for all the pain. I made it so he couldn't walk straight, which is something else we noted, is that when we see him more towards the beginning of season 4, he's got a cane, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Super interesting.
Yeah, Rachel actually called this moments before it was revealed.
Right before it even,
I was like, what? She's the reason he walks with a cane.
And so apparently at this moment, though, he's joyfully says, now you can kill even without a weapon, which I wonder if that line's gonna come back around.
Yeah.
And So I love that they kind of interrupt here, and Hitch is like, "Are you telling me your life story?" Yeah, I listened to you ramble on for like 4 years. The least you could do is hear me out. Like, I love there's like a slight humorous reprieve right there. It's like so sober.
Dear Hitch, you're a jerk still. Congratulations.
Just hear me out. Well, I just love that. Okay, I can tell you there's going to be more of this. So what's happening right now between Hitch and Annie is that they are sharing stories with each other and realizing that they're both. It's what happened to Gabi when she was with the Browses and so on.
Yeah.
She's starting to like swap stories and understand the people she's with and understand that they have a life and they have, in Annie's words, people that they care about as well. People that are important to them as well.
Yeah.
And there's this softening going on, and I can see them becoming allies. Like, in the same way I said, listen, I don't think Gabi and Falco are going to want to leave. Once it's all said and done, like, I don't think they're actually trying to leave Paradise. I think they're looking at the people around them going, actually, these people they do love me, and they are also family. They are also brothers and sisters in a way.
Yeah.
And, like, that is starting to happen across the lines. My prediction, I'm supposed to say this for the end of the show, but my prediction is that we will see more of this before it's all said and done. I've been saying this for a while. I think Piek probably comes around because she said pretty openly she wasn't necessarily loyal to Marley. And you got to wonder about Magath would be a weird one, but would be kind of an interesting twist because here he is like the commander of the army, but they left him for dead. I don't know. It just should be interesting. Yeah. So I just think that this like bonding moment that's happening between them, like Hitch is sort of unwilling, and it's almost in a weird way. Annie seems like she's the more willing party here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She's the one who kind of wants to connect and be like, hey, listen, just let me. I've changed. I promise.
I know
what's the best thing?
The
best thing
general.
for Piek probably to do is hang out with Hanji for a minute. To get more sympathetic towards the audience, right?
Here's the thing: is that okay? We're saving that for predictions, okay? But I do want to talk about that. The Hanji and Magath. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget. That I have some thoughts on that. Okay. So let's get to the notes here. The least you can do is hear me out. Annie continues on. She says, "I just didn't care if people lived or died. I didn't think any life had any value, including my own." Until then, right? So she's essentially suicidal, like nothing matters.
It shows that picture of her stomping on those bugs, and this is the what's the term? This is like the trauma that like murderers have, serial killers have. Psychopaths, right?
No life matters.
They don't care for anybody. They don't see it as a problem. They'll just go kill somebody if they're in their way. It's not a big deal. Your life is not valuable. Their life's not valuable. Everything's seemingly meaningless, and this can cause you, if you think everything is truly meaningless, to do terrible, horrible things because in the end, doesn't matter. Whereas if life is valuable, if life is intrinsically, there and you're made in an image and you're valuable, then everything you do is important, and everything you do is filled with meaning, and the lives that we live are very important. And here she went from there was no value to anything, not even my own life, to wait a second. There is value. I can't say that I don't just not care about anybody more. There is somebody that is valuable to me. There is a loved one who's valuable to me. And that's her dad.
She loves her dad. Mikey Germ is kind of saying something interesting here. He's saying, this kind of reminds me of the flashback she had when she was a kid with Reiner when Marcel died. She was saying kind of all the same stuff she was talking about, like, doesn't really matter. Like, she kind of this, like, this long, like, attitude. Yeah. It's, what an interesting character she's turning out to be. So the dad has the whole, like, he's like on his knees and he's apologizing and he's in tears and he says, please come back. And I think it's later in the episode where we see her response where she actually says, I promise I will. She says, okay.
It's really,
we've never
really
seen,
sweet, man.
We'd heard him say, just promise me you'll come back. So season 1, episode 25, she comes back, or sorry, we get the flashback between her and this father figure. And he says, please come back. And we don't see her response. We just sort of assumed it. But in this episode, we actually see her say, okay, I promise I will. And it gives her something to live for. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of like Ymir and like Historia. She's just kind of caring about that one person to really do something with their life. And, going, okay, like I have I don't have much to live for, but I've got this one little thing to live for. And it's somebody that I care about. Yeah. And yeah. Anyway, like I said, a lot of this in a way we kind of already knew. We're just getting more like context. She says, forget about being a warrior, forget about Marley, just come back. And that man, she says, that man was my father. He thought of me as his own daughter. I have a father waiting for my return. There you go. That's the She says, just like me, there are others who have people who are important to them too. This is my other favorite line in the whole freaking episode. I can't say nothing matters anymore. Yeah. The things I did were unforgivable, but if it takes me back to him, I'd do it again. Like, she's kind of got this motivation now. And I just love that there's people in the show that are like, my motivation is somebody very special to me. That's probably a good thing. Annie, you're pretty twisted and messed up, and you have done some horrible things.
But she has an anchor now. And everybody needs the anchor. Everybody needs somebody.
Some version of hope, yeah.
Some father figure or mother figure or some love in their life that they can say, wait a second, there is value, there is meaning, there is purpose. And from that little bit, hopefully something beautiful can grow where you begin to value other people as well.
We also hope that her father doesn't die in the uprising that we see back in Marley. That Hitch is like, you're just going to find a corpse and a bunch of rubble.
Yeah. Yeah, all you find, the rubble and the corpse. And she goes, I know. But it's kind of like doesn't really faze her. She's like, I got to try, basically. It's the same thing with Gabi and like Falco. She's like, Falco's done for. I got to try, though.
Yeah.
I have to try. So, all right. So now we get to, this is probably one of the more interesting parts of the episode to me, is the whole uprising scene. So it is Mr. Leonhardt, right? It goes right from Annie to her dad, or father. We're just going to call her dad. And the people are talking about the same thing. Like, oh, you saw the dream too? Like, oh, yep, I saw it.
Yeah, we see Reiner's mom and Annie's dad.
And Reiner's
side
mom
by side
says the line, we kind of get a flashback to early season 4 where she says, I knew this would happen. The Island Devils are coming for us.
She's not wrong. I mean, those things are massive muscle devils.
Yeah.
Giant muscly Roombas just coming to vacuum the earth.
I kind of figured out why Eren and Floch and all of them are like so nuts, and what they like the stem of their issue is that just a couple island boys.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
I didn't know they were Marley fans.
I apologize.
Okay, this makes sense. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Okay. That's why they're so nutty. Okay.
And now we will put our train back on the track.
Here we are in Liberio. The people are. We actually called this as well, although it wasn't that hard of a prediction to make. We were like, "Hey, I bet you the people in Liberio and like the Eldians that are like in captivity around the world are going to be like, hey, there's the rumbling. We should do something about it." And then of course the Marleyan guards are like,
they're like, "This is all conspiracy. You guys are full of crap. We're going to shoot you in the face." Really good. Great.
Yeah.
That's actually a good impression.
Don't investigate anything.
I love it because even he even has like the proof. He doesn't just go like, hey, don't just believe us. Like, go check with all the other Eldians will be saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, instead of investigating that, I'm just going to,
You're gonna arrest.
You guys are all in a conspiracy. Okay, use your freaking brain. You have these people behind a fence with guns. You don't let them just mail letters to each other casually. How are they going to be in cahoots all over the freaking world? You idiot. You deserve to die.
It's not just few. It's all of them.
Okay, that was a little intense. I'm sorry.
Plus the people with the armbands. The people who have like the good life.
Yeah,
the ordinary Marleyans are saying, no, this is serious, you guys. It's not just everybody else. And they're like, yeah, they pulled the exact same move as the homie in season 1 when he finds out Eren.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm going to use my power to shoot you, and Eren has to like protect everybody. What was that guy's name?
I just called him Captain Scaredy Pants.
Yes.
I can't remember what his actual name is.
He was kind of lame. Oh, rip Pixis.
But
Pixis who showed up?
Seriously.
Yeah, Pixis.
You're right. That's the exact same mentality. Like, you're so afraid that you can't use your brain. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath and turn your brain cells back on and try and use them.
But these people, I mean, I just...
Like, you're that distrusting?
Marley is such a corrupt society, such a, like, hateful, corrupt society where they really so truly despise these people. Like, they're
their
the most...
prejudice is, like, in their blood,
basically.
It's
so intense.
It's just seeped into their entire psyche, and there's just no other option.
That their hate.
Default setting is you can't be trusted because you're LDN. Therefore, whatever you say must be a lie, even if you're trying to save my life.
Yeah. Well,
the hate and the pride.
Yeah,
for sure.
Ooh, the pride.
Yeah,
sounds like an upcoming episode.
The next episode.
Well, even what Floch said, why am I agreeing with Floch again?
Oh,
Dang it,
whoa, bro! Please don't join that team.
Floch says, is your pride going to stop you? Like, would you rather die for your pride?
Right.
You know? And obviously
yes.
he's saying it jacked up. But
Yeah.
but like, they're like, hey, you guys, I know that you hate us. I know that we're on the different sides, but I'm telling you this, like, we're all going to die unless you do this.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, we still hate you and don't believe you. Like, bro.
He even brings up the Mr. Leonhardt actually says, the rumbling's begun, Eren's coming to kill us. You know, what about your wife and your house and your family? Like, he's saying, like, I'm trying to care about your stuff
about
right now,
your
too.
own? Yeah, exactly.
That's actually what Grisha said to the founder. What's her name? Freda. He said, my wife, my family, they're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Unless you do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does correctly say this part though, because I was saying the same thing. I was like, they're gonna try and tell the guards. I think the Eldians need to orchestrate some kind of escape, because if they could get to paradise, at least maybe they could avoid some of the rumbling or some of the effects of the rumbling. I don't know. It's not super clear.
Even so, like if the people can just go on a boat and be in the water, you won't get crushed.
Maybe.
If you aren't on solid ground, the giant muscle beasts can't smush you.
Yeah, but aren't they gonna make like a tsunami type of thing?
I mean, I don't know.
I'd say, dude, the only way to get is be a bird. Get in the sky, get in the flying machines. And
the airships.
I feel like airships are definitely the safest, but at least a boat would be a little bit better than just, being a sitting duck.
Once they've crushed the world, like what are the Wall Titans gonna do? Are they gonna sit down and pout like
and just
they have
like
no purpose
melt
anymore?
Or are they just gonna evaporate and turn into bones? Who knows?
Are they gonna rebuild new cities?
Oh,
because they did build roads and cities and all that in the past.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they were the workhorses.
Okay, well, at any rate, he fights back. Mr. Leonhardt actually remembers, so I love the line. He's like, you're guilty of conspiracy, get on your knees. And then he remembers that line. This is where it is. This is where he remembers Annie, and she says, okay, I promise I'll return. And that's when he goes, ah, and lunges to the guard. And you hear a gunshot, but I think it's from the next scene. It's not from that scene. I think they're trying to pull one over on us there. So they go, gunfire, and it's the next shot, and it's like, yeah, it's Sadie's, and this is an interesting scene as well, where he's telling them, well, first of all, these former Jaegerists, I suppose, are like, Commandant Sadie's like, you need to leave. The Jaegers are rising up here, you're not safe, and he tells them, I love that they're on his side. He saves their life, he trained them, they turn on him, but he saves them anyway, and now they're loyal to him, and they're like, what do we do? And he goes, listen, the core of the military is dead. This episode is literally just outlining how chaotic this situation is.
Yeah.
The military's dead. The Jaegerists will gain support and control the island, and the old regime like me is going to be purged. I'm too old to live in the mountains or to crap outside. Beyond that. And they're like, well, okay, but if it wasn't for you, we'd be dead. We will protect you. And he's like, don't, you fools. Do you? Why do you think I let you freaking beat me up back there? Okay. And I just love this guy. I hope he doesn't die. I know he's going to, but I really hope he dies. I just love Sadie's. Not a character.
He needs to become the next leader of the military. Dang it.
Yes,
yeah, he's the guy in line.
As he was talking,
military leader.
I was having visions of Keith Sadie's who does go to the woods and starts speaking to recruit a resistance,
Yeah.
And he's influencing the people on the inside, the Jaegerists who actually are loyal to him. And he's wait for your moment. I'll come out of the shadows and you guys strike.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I'm not going to go into the woods. Just keep fighting. And I'm like, no. You're worth something. Your life is valuable. You have influence, and you're you're a BAMF, bro. But
his strategy is probably correct, because basically he wants them to play the long game. I'm with you. I would prefer that to happen, but I don't know what kind of time frame we have left in the show. It could be a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Him saying this makes me think there could be some time that needs to pass before we actually get to the end of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what happens with the whole rumbling. It's pretty urgent. It's happening right now. But his thing is listen, fall in line, obey what they say, fall into their ranks, and just
try not to lose yourself.
Try not to lose yourself, because a day may come when you need to rise up. Yeah,
dude. What a boss. Don't lose yourself in the cultural hysteria. Don't lose yourself in the everyone's going one way and the indoctrination. Don't lose yourself in all of that. Stay true to who you are. They're making a good point at this point that it's either Hanjay or it's Keith that is the highest ranking military officer left.
It's left, but again, who over who? there's probably, it seems very
over
very
Levi
few.
who has missing fingers. And
yeah. E. Christian says getting attached to characters in AOT smells like a trap. Isayama, don't make me do this.
Why?
Yeah.
We all laugh because it's true.
I laugh because it's too embarrassing to cry on air. Okay, so we catch up with Armin and Mikasa. They're talking about going to catching Connie, and we have this whole scene. And Mikasa's like, "Well, what would you say?" And he's like, He's like, "You gonna tell him like, hey, you can't save your mom. Like, we need that thing or that kid." And he actually says, Armin says, "Yes, that is what I'm gonna do."
Yeah.
I think you would have an audience with Connie. Of anybody in the show, I think you would have an audience with him.
We had some good emails this week, and one of the emails that we had, one of the messages was, they thought that maybe something similar to Eren being eaten was going to happen with Falco. Like maybe he's thrown down into like Connie's mom's mouth, but she either doesn't she either doesn't like eat him all the way, or he explodes out like and kills her mom, and he's like turns into his Titan and is like, no, like I'm gonna keep fighting to save Gabi. I'm gonna keep fighting for the people that I care about that are left. And Connie, if he does end up doing it, is like, oh my gosh, no, this is the wrong way to do it. But I personally think Papa Browse is right. Connie's gonna hesitate.
Yeah.
Even as at the end of this episode, we see him riding away, and he's like lying right to the face of Falco. He's like, yeah, I'm a soldier. I'm a good soldier, so that's why I'm helping you. And we're riding this way to get you to a hospital because your amnesia. And Falco's like, oh, thank you. What a nice guy I've met. And then even Connie in his own mind goes, I became a soldier to like help everybody. And here he's lying to a kid. He's gonna sacrifice a kid, right? Like this is the theme of the show. Are you gonna sacrifice the next generation to do what you want to do,
Yeah.
or are you gonna sacrifice your generation to protect the next generation?
Yeah.
And he's riding off with Falco, and I think he's not even convinced of what he's gonna do anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Like everybody has to hit their breaking point in this show at one point or another, and Connie had to hit his, and apparently it was right now. So
dang, Falco's getting rickrolled again. First it was Mr. Kruger, and now it's Mr. Springer. Gosh.
Come on.
Dang.
He's always there. He's gullible. He's gonna turn out.
Poor
he's gonna turn out so
Falco.
jaded when he grows up.
Yeah, seriously, don't.
I don't trust anybody for nothing.
Everyone lies to me.
Okay, so Armin makes a good point though, or he makes an interesting point here to Mikasa, and he says, "Listen, I have to try. It may be pointless, but I do have to try because otherwise we won't gain Gabi's trust if we don't make this happen. She's the key. Any chance we have of keeping Reiner and the cart in line depends on her."
Yep.
So Armin is aware. The Reiner's
she is
on the
very
island.
special to both of them.
We don't know where Reiner is.
He's in that house.
Gabi left him somewhere.
Gabi left him.
And he's
still there?
he's healing. That's all we know. He's not going to die off screen. No way.
No
No
not
way.
going to.
There's
And
no
so
chance.
I think he's going to show up, or he's going to meet up with Hanji and Piek and all of them.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think the crew eventually comes back together. But at any rate, Reiner and then the Cart Titan. So we know where the Cart Titan is. She's picks with Megath, but they're separated from each other. But what this tells me is that Armin understands the situation, which is they're listen, they're not getting off this island.
Yeah.
They're here. We need their help somehow. Or again, like I'm not sure what his actual goal here is. Like he kind of says it in this scene. Basically, we just got to try and pick up the pieces of what we have because we can't control the rumbling. So we got to do with what we can here. And this is the most stressful. This isn't the most stressful I felt watching this show. I felt much more stress in certain tense situations, but Armin's summation of the scenario here is
It's chaos.
He says it's all chaos. It's so. What else could be more true?
The military's falling apart.
Yeah.
The rumbling's happening. People are getting squished. Jaegerists are uprising. There's going to be a civil war over Eren Jaeger and did he do the right thing or did he not do the right thing?
He says the problem of the 9 Titans has not gone away. We might have another 2,000 years war over Titans on this tiny island.
Here.
I'm so tired I could sleep like a log for 2 days, but I have to go do this because it might have a huge impact on the future of humanity. Gotta love Armin.
Poor Armin. I feel like everything he's done for the last 5 years of his life has been for the future of humanity.
Yeah.
Always chasing the dream.
Yeah.
But also, I mean,
even turning into the Colossal Titan and all of that, and having to live with the question of should they have saved me or Erwin, and just all
Yep.
all of it.
he's had a great character arc though. He was this little
Armin,
insecure kid. Eren has touched him, like helped him like grow up into a strong, confident character, so much that he's willing to like stand up to Eren's face, right? And be like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. I'm going to he's becoming a hero. He's becoming a good man. And he's like doing the hard things.
Well, and struggling along the way, which is how it's supposed to be. You don't do it perfectly.
Yeah.
And how many of us like can 100% relate to Armin, right? You get home, you're like, I need to change the oil in my car. Something in my sink is broken. I got to do some homework. I need to get this report for work filed. My kids or whatever. And like all you want to do, you got too much. You just want to take a nap because there's like too much to do, you know?
Yeah.
It's
you
like
do
overwhelming.
nothing. But instead he's like, okay, I don't have a long-term plan to like save the apocalypse of the world, but here's what I can do. I can start by doing the things that I can do. I can put one foot in front of my other. You know, like when they asked Mother Teresa, like, how do you change the world? She said, one person at a time. Like you go and you help the person directly in front of you.
Yeah.
How can you address all these problems? Armin's like, I don't even know what to do about Eren. I can't even figure out what to do about Eren. But you know what I can do? I can do what I know is right, which is save Falco's life.
Yeah. Okay, I want to list his troubles here. This is what we're talking about. So the 9 Titans, he starts with that. The potential for war on the island, the civil unrest. And he's Connie taking Falco. This is all in his list of issues he's facing right now. Mikasa's like, what should I do? And he's like, go help John. She's like, what about Eren? He's like, I don't know. What is there to be done about it? Like, what can anybody do? Hanji and Levi might both be dead. We've got Floch running around with his gun. He might shoot us. He might put us at the barrel of his gun. Annie is probably out of her crystal. The entire military is falling apart. It's utter chaos. And I love the way that they wrote this because they have him say it's chaos. And then he goes, oh, and also Historia might be in danger. The volunteers are in danger. The Ozumabitos, Niccolo might be in trouble. I don't have time to think about the bleak situation.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Poor Armin.
Chaos is like an insufficient word to describe like what's happening.
It is the apocalypse.
Beer Mendez said Armin's having more headaches than Mikasa right about now.
Yeah, seriously.
Gosh, poor Armin.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, all right, so this is also the part where so he calms down. He's like, listen, Commander Erwin wouldn't have snapped at you like that. Like, now I know the answer. Like, they saved the wrong guy. And we were all like, oh, Armin, we love you. You might be right, actually.
But also,
we
don't
still
say
really
it.
like you.
You should live. You deserve
should
to live.
You're here. Listen, the past is the past. Did they make a mistake? Yes. But that doesn't mean we can't use you for what you've got, okay? You're still a great guy. So, anyway.
I still think he should have lived, but it's fine.
Mighty Germ says it's funny how the rumbling is the main event of the story, but it feels like a sideshow to the rest of the crises.
The drama, yeah.
The characters what we care about. You know?
Okay, so this is where Mikasa goes, hey, my scarf is gone. Serious question. Where and who?
I think it's probably that one girl who's like obsessed with her. What is her name?
You don't think Armin took it? He
Louise.
was right there. Oh no, she left it there when she went, right?
Yeah, she left
packed
it
it up
when Luis was in the room with her.
So you think Luis grabbed it?
I think so, yeah.
What if Eren took it?
It's possible, I suppose.
I don't know if it was time for him to take it.
I don't either. He might have had Luis bring it to him, though.
Ooh. Or Floch. Ugh.
Ugh, gross. Blech.
Ugh. Floch, don't touch anything. You're gross. Okay, so yeah, then we get the Browse family, and they're like saying goodbye and thank you, Gabi. And this is actually kind of like cute little scene between Gabi and Kaya, and she's like, my real name's Gabi. She's like,
That's a weird name. Ew.
weird. I don't like it. Mia's better. You're fake. But then she calls her Gabi and is like, okay, goodbye. So
they hug. It's cute.
It is cute.
Mama Browse is hugging Mia before she leaves. Papa Browse says, yeah, I think even though Connie's like stressed out, I think he'll hesitate. I think he won't feed Falco to that Titan. I think you're going to get there in time. Like, what an encouraging. Like, dude, Falco and Gabi have like the best family now.
They do.
To go fall back on. They have like the best cheerleaders and encouragers, the ones that'll protect you or whatever. Like, they've found the meaning of life there, and so they either need to bring that back to other islands or never leave, you know?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's a good question. Like in the long term, I don't know. Well, at any rate, we have Niccolo and Armin's counseling him like, hey, like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with the Browse family. Like, probably good. Go live in the freaking wilderness, dude. Like, you're in danger.
Go crap in the woods. You're not too old.
So this is the most frustrating scene maybe ever. So it starts with like freaking Floch Roach shooting some dude in the hand, and just being the most tyrannical you can possibly imagine him being.
He's just as bad as Yelena. His facial expressions are just as sinister. He's like
the tone of his voice.
The way, yeah, they
It's
just
so
replaced
horrible.
her creepy energy with his.
So he
is drunk with power.
Jean is the one who like kind of objects here. He's like, hey, like don't, and he's like, oh, I'm just helping him understand. He couldn't grasp what was happening, but now I think he understands.
Like, don't make jokes as you're torturing people,
Yeah,
guys.
seriously.
That's
It's just especially puns.
That's why I never knew. I know I could never torture somebody. It's like
Yes, you don't have to make puns but-
because I'd be making puns the whole time. You know?
entire time. Okay, he says now people know what happens when they mouth off. And John asks him, who elected you to be king of this place? And he goes, I'm glad you asked. This is the frustrating part.
Ugh.
He says, 10 months ago, Eren told me the master plan. He was going to use Zeke to get the founder, and I gathered the comrades, and I aided him, and now his plan is fulfilled. And he looks at the volunteers. He's like, you lost your military leaders. You lost your leaders. You lost your military that was going to around you, and you're about to lose your homelands. All your dreams are lost.
But hey, you can join our side. We'll welcome you.
But you could join us. Here's the thing. There's so many things wrong with this. Number one, I have to know. Did Eren actually tell Floch his master plan? He told nobody else except for...
the dirtiest dog in the game.
Can I just posit the theory? Listen, I think Eren may be off his rocker here. But I don't think anybody's that far off their rocker to be like, you know who I should...
I'm going to
I
trust.
have all these close friends who I can tell anything to, but I'm going to take this redheaded jerk,
This
and
redheaded
he's going to be the
psycho.
only one I trust with this like super secret information.
Yeah.
It's just because the story is too convenient. It just seems perfectly obvious to me that Floch is just maybe not perfectly obvious. It seems likely to me that Floch is just operating under his own like guise now. He's like, oh, hey, there's a power vacuum. I'm going to come in here and fill it. And I'm just going to pretend like, I'm acting on Eren's behalf.
I'm
now.
Eren's right hand.
No, you're not, you little twerp.
Okay.
Gosh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, so this is something we were talking about, Alice, in the comments. I said that this is the equivalent of like finding out like the super cute girl that you like just got done dating like the scummiest dude alive.
Yeah.
It lowers her stock quite a bit, right? You're just like, listen, I think you're awesome, but you obviously have very bad taste, which then tells me something about myself if that's the case. It's just it's bad for everybody, right? If you're dating like the scummiest dude around, like just right? Like I need a moment, and you need some hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I need some space.
But if Eren's entrusting all of his plans to Floch, what does that say about Eren's plans? They're probably so terrible no one else would do it. And then also we know Floch lies at the end of the segment. Floch says specifically, he goes, Hanjay and Levi, they're dead. Zeke had to kill him. Sorry. Knowing what full well that they
they're
got
not.
away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He lies blatantly right
And he's
there.
lying to Jean specifically to get him on his side, because if he knew that Hanjay and Levi were alive, he would never take Floch's side.
Yeah.
So if he's lying about this, what else is he lying about? Maybe that Eren entrusted him with something?
Okay,
Possibly.
But,
Yeah.
in the comments, okay, I can't say. I'm so bad at saying screen names. Kristen
Aki Kristen 666.
is saying, to be fair, Pixis did mention Eren, Floch, and Yelena had secret meetings. And I'm pretty sure that's right.
True, but it doesn't mean that Eren's like, I'm going to elect you, Floch, the arbiter of morality on the land.
It's not outside the realm of possibility that Floch is being played by Eren for some reason
Sure.
that we don't know, and that Floch actually thinks what he's saying is true. But it's also possible that he's just, making up crap because he's drunk with power.
Yes.
Because he sees the power.
I mean, I'm still with Pete in this one. Like, he does just lie to him pretty obviously here. And at any rate, Floch shoots this other dude in the head, and he's like, I won't bow. He tells him, like, your dreams are lost, and he's like, I'm never going to bow to you. And he just, like, shoots him in the head multiple times, and he says, your pride as a volunteer, his pride as a volunteer wouldn't let him live. And he goes, it's submission. What's so wrong with this submission? Like, submission is better than dying like this. So take some time to think about it, and like whatever, like lock them up and take them all, whatever. This guy, I need to finish this statement here. We can kind of talk about the whole thing. So Jean's like, Floch says to Jean, to answer your question, I act on Eren's behalf. He's solving the problems outside the island and the rest of the world, and it's my job, or I will wipe out the resentment here in the island. after all the hell we've been through, this is what's in our grasp. And he's like, you know what it is? It is freedom. And then he tells, he gives the whole spiel. He's like, you don't have to fight anymore. You can live as you please. You remember you wanted the life as an MP. You can go to live on. Everybody will think of you as a hero. And Jean's like, is it over? And he's like, it is over. You can go back to being the old Jean, reckless and annoying and cheeky. And that's when he asked him, he's like, so what happened to I don't know if it's Mikasa or Jean. He's like, what happened to Hanji and Levi? And he's like, oh, they were killed by Zeke. Like, he's just so casual with this thing. Okay, here's the thing.
Unfortunately, they were killed. It sucks. Anyway, so you're going to be on my side. I'm going to offer you utopia. I'm going to offer you the dream that you always wanted. Just stop fighting. Just lay down. Just don't resist my terrible regime so you can have a good life. And that is always the lie the devil comes with.
Yeah. I want to talk about his use of the word freedom here, right? He's like, what is it that we can have now? Freedom. Okay. It's a little ironic coming from the guy who is holding people at gunpoint, threatening them with the destruction of their own countries and saying, join me or die. And that guy has the gall to go around talking about like he knows something about freedom. Okay, here's the thing. Words have definitions, bro. They have meaning, okay? And I just feel like this is like relevant to like the world we live in right now. But the thing is the word freedom actually means something. It's to decide for yourself. It's to live your own life and to decide for yourself. And the thing about freedom is you either believe in basically all of it or basically none of it. Okay? So if you believe in basically all of it, you believe people should be free, and that freedom entails them taking care of themselves and being responsible for their own actions and choosing their own way and having their own version of, having their own morality, the things that are right and wrong to them. Like, there's a lot of things that they may do that you don't like or agree with that you think they shouldn't do, but that's what freedom is that you think that they should be allowed to do it, that's actually that's actually the higher moral good. Okay, that's freedom's definition. That's what freedom actually is. Anything else Floch says about somebody being free, just because he's using the word freedom, doesn't mean jack. That's not actually what freedom is. He's a tyrant. Mm-hmm. And the problem with tyrants, especially in the 21st century, is that they always show up talking about, oh yeah, it's for your own safety, it's for your own good, and it's for the sake of your, quote, freedom. Mm-hmm. Listen, I know you're under oppression and I'm making you do exactly what I want you to do right now, but if you do exactly as I tell you what you should be doing, then you'll get your freedom back. F off. Like, no, that's not what freedom is. Like, listen, I'll let you be free.
That's a gilded cage.
So long as you do exactly what I'm telling you at gunpoint
shiny.
Right now.
Don't look at it. Yeah.
It's a cage. It's the cage.
It is literally the cage.
Day
like,
the world
it's
remembered.
So jacked up, and it's so interesting to me that like Isayama put Floch and like put this whole moment in here, because this is like this is petty tyranny. This is actual tyranny, just perfectly encapsulated in this one scene. Because like I said, here he is literally torturing and killing people and setting them, and has no concern for their freedom. It's just like absolutely crapping all over them. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, John, you can go and live free. I'm like, that's not freedom at all, because in the other line, he's like, you can go be your old John. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to be old John. Like, the man grew up. You didn't, Floch. So you need to get over it, because it turns out some people actually grow up and have character and morals, and that is where freedom is found, not in freaking just messing people up with your gun. Last comment on this. Please God, why Mikasa is like the best warrior in the world? Why did she not just like break his neck right there?
Because there was a ton of other Jaegerists with rifles, like they probably would have just shot her.
It would have been a worthy death.
Yeah, she would have been like, I regret nothing.
I'd be like, Mikasa, I miss you, but you died a good one.
You're the real one.
Okay, well, at any rate.
Okay.
Okay, so the last bit is so the credits start rolling, and we got Connie and
Connie and Falco are having a nice sunset horse ride as they go the opposite direction of where they should be going.
He's like, I need to head back south. See, the sun is setting over there. And I'm like, Good observation, kid. Mm-hmm. Somebody, okay, totally unrelated. Battlefield 2042 has been getting a ton of hate. Obviously, the game kind of like sucks for so many reasons, but like there's this YouTube story or something, videos going around of these dudes, and they're like, it's a pretty cool looking sunset. They're like playing BF42, and like the maps are so big, you just walk around for a while and nothing's happening. You're just like in a car, like driving around, like hoping for something to happen. And some like one of the dudes in the squad's like, oh, look at that like cool sunset. He's like, yeah, pretty cool, except for it's going down in the south. Like, and he's like, does Dice know anything about anything? Like, is that not like the dumbest mistake in this game? Because they have a compass. Like, you have a compass in the game. They're headed directly due south, and that's where the sun. I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
They're on another planet.
Yeah. Well, anyway, their game sucks. So that said, yeah. So Connie like gives him the whole spiel. He's like, "Oh, taking you to the hospital, and you have amnesia." And he kind of goes, "Oh, well, I remember collapsing, and I remember."
He's remembering stuff
a little bit,
doesn't
but like
have amnesia.
Only up to a certain point. And Connie's like, "Oh, damn, I'm so mad at him." Like, dude, don't lie. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a soldier. It's only natural." And he has that flashback he said to his mom, where he's like, "Oh, go become a good soldier." And he says
he's
to himself,
not a good soldier right now.
He says
he's
to himself,
a liar.
"Mom, I can't get my family back, but I might get my mom back." And I became a good soldier. Like, he's kind of talking himself into it. And yeah, they had this whole conversation. Like, I just don't know what to make of it, to be honest, because he says, thanks for taking care of me. And Connie's like, "Oh, it's nothing." And he's like, "Yeah, look we have to go back south because it's like safer." So he's making crap up as he goes. And you made this observation. So he says, "I feel like I've seen Connie before."
You have, as the Jaw Titan when you were Ymir. Well, not you, the Jaw Titan.
What do you think he saw him when he invaded Liberia?
Well, okay, that's my question. So
maybe, possibly.
Have they actually seen each other at some point?
Good question.
It'd be hard to know. I mean, maybe somebody in the chat knows. Like, have they actually literally physically seen each other at some point?
Was Connie with Sasha?
That's what I'm trying to wonder, because they had
when
Falco.
Sasha didn't shoot Gabi, and did Connie also not shoot Falco? And maybe he saw him not shoot.
They were in the airship, because they were both in the airship, and Connie was in the airship.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, so he definitely most likely saw him there.
Yes. So
but
he's
at least just not putting two and two
seen each other. Yeah. He's just not.
Well, he's had the Titan thing where he is amnesia.
Yeah.
So is he gonna realize, like, hey, wait a second, aren't you the guy that I killed your best friend? Oh, you're probably leading me out here to die, aren't you, or something?
Yeah. Steve is making a good point in the chat too. He's like, he's not gonna do it. Like, this whole, like, it seems pretty clear. Like, that's not gonna happen. It'd be super random. Although, again, maybe we get thrown for a loop. I'm like, actually, that just happened.
They either showed it so that we can see how Connie starts to see Falco as a person and not just a chicken nugget to feed to his mom, or they're showing it so that we can just absolutely be devastated when Connie does still have the ability to see him as a chicken nugget to feed his mom. So
Hope not.
It's going to be one of those two things.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't. All right, so I want to get to this last part. It's actually one of the most interesting things. So they get the airships, they're taking off, and it's Magath.
Yeah, General Magath gets left behind by his people.
He is the head of the freaking military, and they're
just like, peace
late, see ya, have a nice
life. It's the apocalypse, bro.
Is that enough for him to also kind of turn his back on Marley?
I hope so.
They don't care about him at all. He's their main guy, and they're
like, we don't give a crap about you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right call. He says this is the right call because they need to get back and warn them.
Yeah, he's not mad at them.
They need to get back and tell people, like, hey, get out. Rumbling's coming. Apocalypse is coming, and they can do it.
Get on this airship so you don't get crushed by giant muscle monsters.
Yeah. How many airships do they have, and how far can they run? That's a good question.
Who knows how much
I don't know.
fuel do they have?
But for all we know, Magath and Piak, for all intents and purposes, are stranded right now on the island. And who do they happen to meet? Good old Hanji. She's still alive. And Levi's still alive, baby.
He is a mummy on a stretcher.
Refuses to die.
But he's breathing because apparently he's just too dang angry to die. He's got to kill Zeke. He's still pissed.
He's got to kill Zeke.
I just love that Hanji's her old self.
No.
She's like, I can't.
Please don't eat me.
Please don't eat me. Also, he's just a harmless fellow. He's like a freaking certified
harmless
killer.
My eye.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something we were talking about was, do Piak and Magath know Levi? Like, they probably heard stories of the legend of Levi.
She does. I think Zeke told them.
Right, but have they ever seen him?
Do they know it's him?
Because if they go, that's Levi Ackerman, the murderer of like thousands of our people.
The slasher of the Titans.
We need to like, are they going to see him as a threat, or are they going to be like, is Hanji going to be like, oh yeah, this is Bill, my friend. He got hurt during the rumbling, and I'm just trying to protect him, and she's going to like nurture him back to health because they don't know who he really is.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
I love how she says a harmless fellow who refuses to die.
I just really want him to get Titan powers so he can get all of his limbs back.
Here's the thing is undoubtedly the best person to give the any available Titan power to is Levi, right?
Magath witnessed harmless Levi up close in Liberio as he killed Zeke.
Zeke, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you might remember what he looks like.
He might recognize
But
him.
His face is mostly covered with bandages at this point. Yeah. I mean, the only part of his face you can see is one eye. So even though Magath has seen him, and I'm sure Pick knows who he is, she's a spy.
No.
Yeah, but he was in the woods. He wasn't in the capital when she was there.
Magath?
Yeah, remember Levi was in the woods with Zeke.
Yeah.
And Pick was in the capital.
But has she been there before then?
No, who knows?
Yeah, we don't really know how long she's been there.
He was there when he was jacking up Zeke. Remember when he kills all the people and he jacks Zeke up? Pick rescues.
That's who she rescues him from.
Yes. So
she totally knows.
Pick would recognize Levi.
Yeah,
almost
for sure.
Never forget that face.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The one who made your freaking commander like cry like a baby.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Can we go to the spoiler section where we're pretty much there?
Yes.
That's the end of the episode. All right, jackets are coming off.
Okay, guys, don't forget.
Throw them down.
If you'd like, you can get some sick Attack on Titan merch in the link. You can get our t-shirts, you can get our mugs, and you get some other cool looking ones like the jackets we have and whatnot.
Please sponsor our internet connection.
There's some cool hats.
If you have questions,
we can subscribe on Twitch and stuff, all that, whatever.
Yeah, subscribe on Twitch. We're doing the Twitch thing.
Yep.
We've also got the premium subscriptions available, and you can email us if you have questions at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Please email us. We love emails.
Subscribe
They're the best.
on YouTube.
YouTube's.
Drop a thermonuclear warhead on the like button.
And if you don't like discussions of what you think is going to happen, we actually don't know. We legit don't know, but we're going to do our theories, and some people don't.
Sometimes we predict things correctly, and sometimes we are wildly off course.
Hey,
it was Levi.
Most of the time, we're wildly off course.
Okay, but we've hit a few bangers, okay? I'm just saying, there's been a few of them we kind of actually called them. I'm happy about that.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, all right. Predictions. Okay. Hanji and Magath is the only note I have here, and I'm trying to remember what the theory was. Okay.
Them meeting up and talking and strategizing together, I think it was mainly Pick and Hanji.
Well, I think Hanji and Magath are essentially cut from a similar cloth here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what they're going to...
They're both leaders.
They're
both
very
strategists.
leader,
yes.
logical thinkers.
You kind of have the successor to Erwin.
And slightly insane.
The actual successor to Erwin is Hanji. Okay, we did that is the actual case. Okay, so it's really hard. And so we have the kind of like Erwin protege successor meeting up with like the head military mind of Marley. Some kind of something has to happen here. There's no way they're gonna I just can't see them staying enemies.
They are also like they're leaders who get out there with their men. They don't just like sit in an office and send people to their deaths.
Hanji has a freaking eye missing.
That's right.
Yeah.
She don't mess around.
Yeah, Magath is like, I'm the best gunner in this place,
Yeah, he
like
actually fights.
They lead by doing it with the people that are under them.
I just feel like they have more in common than not.
They also aren't prone to panic and stupidity.
And they're strategists, and they're trying to figure out a way to save the world. I think they're going to come together.
And they don't like needlessly shoot people in the face for no reason.
Correct.
That's a good trait to have.
What I'm really wanting to see now is I really want to see what I can't fully predict is like how that whole thing like pans out. Obviously they talk, but do they actually like
will
openly
they
talk?
join forces?
Do they openly talk? Do they join forces? Is it very forthright? Is it like Hanji's like, I'm Hanji Zoe, I'm the leader of the scouts. Here's what I think we should do. This is Levi. He's like the baddest of the bad. Please don't kill him. But this is our thoughts on the rumbling. This is our thoughts on what action we should take next. The thing is Armin, who we assume was the brightest mind,
having some troubles.
Is having troubles. Like he can't figure out what to do about Eren, if anything.
I think it's because he's too emotional about Eren.
Does Hanji have an idea? Who has an idea? Because Magath already said
she might also be too emotional about Eren. Magath might be the key to making a decision about Eren because he doesn't give a crap. They both actually care about Eren and have a relationship with him, and so it might be kind of hard for either one of them to be objective and make the right choice. And he might be the one to help them do that.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, because he's kind of can be a little more level-headed. You're right, because he just not as involved. So I just feel like I can see a coalition forming of Magath, Piek, like basically the people who are left on the island who are former Marlians, but not, and then the people who have been on the island who are not Jaegerists, right? Yep. I just feel like you're gonna have this little like cohort of like the Armin, Mikasa, Niccolo types, the non-Jaegerist dudes, and Jean, whatever, and then eventually you're gonna have Piek and perhaps Magath, maybe even Reiner, like Gabi, Falco. Like you're gonna have basically if I'm seeing this correctly, actually, now that I'm looking at it, if for some reason they all did join forces in some way or another, that gives you the Colossal Titan, the Jaw Titan,
the female Titan,
if Annie's on board,
the Cart Titan,
and the Armored Titan.
Although he's not armored now, he's just a muscle Titan because all hardening has been.
Yeah.
Well, can Annie not do her hardening? Like, is hardening just not a thing anymore? Like, it's just been done?
It would seem so. It's been suggested that it's so. Maybe it's not forever. Maybe it's just temporary.
Well, because he melted all hardening.
All existing hardening.
But doesn't mean you can't do it again, probably.
Was it a one-shot thing?
Yeah.
Did he undo it just that one time and it can
all I'm saying is
be reinstituted later?
Five of the Titan powers might end up in the same place again. Now
the Great Titan Wars 2.0.
Yeah, no, really, there might be another Great Titan War.
And it's going to be everybody versus the Founder, the Warhammer, and the Attack.
Because they're all in the same person.
Mm-hmm. 6 versus 3, maybe.
Perhaps that was Eren's goal.
We don't even know what Eren's capable of now. He's got Ymir and the whole thing. And anyway, so I don't know.
And they're saying Reiner's whole thing was what's even the point? He can literally change our bodies. He can make us forget things.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Challenge him? That's what I'm saying. Somebody has to come up with a way to do something here, but I just don't know who's
his friends. His friends are the ones that could get close. Or could his friends convince him that this is not the best way?
Also, who took Mikasa's scarf? Dang it.
I'm telling you, it was Luis.
Okay. Yeah, maybe his friends can. I don't know. All right, can I just throw another weird theory while we're on the rumbling thing?
Okay.
Please.
This doesn't seem likely, but I just have to say it so that if I'm right, people are like, whoa, look at cool.
Nice.
You're
being a politician. You're saying a bunch of bullcrap that if it never happens, no one will remember. But if it does happen, you go, see, I told you guys.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm doing. But I'm not looking for any votes because I'm going to do this podcast and if no one watches. So, okay, so here's my theory. So my theory is that perhaps, I've already said this part, that so the Wall Titans, we know that they're subject, all Titans really, pure Titans in general, but we know specifically the Wall Titans are subject to sunshine, right? They are activated by sun, okay? Because at the end of beginning of season 2 rather.
Sonny and Bean.
There's a hole in the wall. And the priest dude, what's it, scrap? Pastor Nick is like,
bless you.
You're gonna want to cover that up because don't let the sun touch that.
That's
Titan.
a particularly powerful one. Don't let the sun touch him.
I thought it was more about modesty, kind of cover up too much skin, too much. Come on.
Around the eyeball.
He doesn't have any skin. The sun will burn his face.
Oh. Which they bring that up again, going back to season 1, like the wall worshippers or whatever, like they worship Rose, Cena, Maria, they actually. It's funny knowing what we know now.
Who are named after actual people who ate their mother.
Were they actually worshiping the walls, or were they worshiping the people originally?
Yeah, no, they are. They said he actually talks about God, but I think his version of God is Ymir, and it's the holy sisters. Or he calls them something or whatever. At any rate,
there's more truth there than we knew.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. So he says all that stuff. Okay, so Sonny and Bean were the same way, right? During it, when
they were more active
during the day and really docile during night.
She was mentioning how some Titans are still active at night, but they're slower.
Yes, they're at the very least slower. So they're sort of run off sunshine a little bit. And then the same thing was true, of course. The scouts did various operations at night, like going into the woods, going out in the wilderness. They would do them at night because there was less danger from the Titans.
The one exception was with the ones that Zeke controls at Utgard Castle.
Yes, correct. That was an anomaly for sure.
So is Eren controlling these colossal Titans through the night, or are they going to take breaks? That's
my question. Okay, so it seems that they are powered by sunshine. Can Eren make them do stuff anyway? Or are these suckers, like, because the sun's about to set in this next episode, like, it's basically already happening now. It's going to be nighttime, I think, for the first time since he started the thing, or so it seems. And my question is, like, are the Titans going to essentially, they're going to have to push pause at night? Because if they are, they're vulnerable. So the next thing is they also have to walk through the oceans. This is an island, after all. They have to go through the water. Okay, up to now, we've been told the reason the pure Titans didn't escape the island in general is because they can't swim. They can't do water. Water was kind of like the one safe place to be.
Sink.
Generally.
I don't know.
Are they tall enough to walk through the ocean? Is that a thing that's even going to come up?
I don't think they're tall enough to walk through the ocean.
They made it sound like Pia could go under the water, right?
Yeah, I think they can just, like, not to
they just
admit
don't
that
die.
I've watched this because it's embarrassing. But in Twilight, the vampires just walk under the ocean on the ocean floor and then back up out on the other side because they don't need to breathe because they're dead. So maybe the Titans can just, because they don't need to breathe, that's already been established, right? They don't need to breathe or eat.
Is it not fair to say that the water is a serious obstacle?
Okay, remember how Hanji said that they weigh way less than they should?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just float.
You think they'll act like ants? You know, those ants that can make, like, they use themselves as boats, as bridges, and all these things? You think they'll do something like that?
I mean, they were just walls. Why not form themselves into giant bridges?
It's true.
Or a boat.
They also might float. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one Titan who's like 15 Titans is the rod, and he's like steering with the rod on the boat, you know?
They're like the wolves in that one movie, Storks. Wolf boat!
Yeah.
Eren uses hardening to make a bridge. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they did.
Oh, here it is. Quinn is saying this. Quinn the Winds. Would being under the ocean take away too much sunlight? So that's my other theory. It's like,
Would it cool them off too much?
Could they even walk?
If they're walking through the ocean and it's dark and they're under the ocean, how much are they even able to do? Okay, so let's say they can walk. Let's say they can get through the water just fine, and the sunlight thing is not like an issue. They are going to. I've been saying this for the whole time. They are vulnerable to aerial attack, which we know at the very least Marley is capable of. Mm-hmm. They can load anti-Titan cannons on. I'm not saying that they aren't a huge threat. They obviously are, but everyone at this point in the show is like, wow, this trump card, it's totally over. I just don't think that's, if they go down, they don't go down without a fight. The world's not just going to be like, oh, sure, whatever.
Do you think they're on autopilots where they just stomp, or do you think they physically attack anybody who comes near them?
I don't know.
Does it matter if you can hit them? Like, their arms are only so long. That's the whole point. I'm saying, as far as aerial warfare goes,
dropping bombs on their napes.
Yes, that's exactly what I think is possible.
Do have Titan
and especially
weapons.
if they slow down at night and you just freaking airbomb them at night, or while they're in the ocean when they're vulnerable. It's not as strong a thing as it may be. I don't know.
I think they can somehow traverse the ocean because there was one of those,
old looking
images of Titans coming off
the water,
out of the water to the shores of various places, and
but again, that was about the rumbling.
They were big, colossal Titans.
Yeah,
that was about the rumbling, but that was like a historical thing saying all this would happen.
Means, in my mind, this has probably happened before, but everyone forgot.
Perhaps.
Another question. One of our viewers sent us an email and they asked, Ymir, the original founding Titan, was a female. She has 3 daughters, Maria Rosina. We suspect that one of those daughters wasn't the king Fritz's heir, which is where the other bloodline comes from,
royal bloodline.
Yeah.
and where the attack Titan could come from. However, all that aside, she has 3 daughters. Those 3 daughters eat her spine. All 3 of them are able to inherit the Titan
shifting power. Yeah,
shifting power, and then we think that maybe each one of them 3 has additional 3 kids, and all of them eat or whatever. They have the Titan power, and it's she's obviously a female, but it's not specifically the female Titan, right?
Yeah.
Chick is female, but she's not specifically the female cart Titan.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is one specific female Titan
That's true.
whose body looks like a female. The rest of them seem like meh.
Her Titan does look like the closest one to Ymir. There's no question about it. As far as Ymir's actual Titan versus the female Titan, they look much more similar than any of the others.
So if you just, it doesn't matter if it's all just androgynous, why is there a specific female Titan?
Yeah, that is really weird. And what does it mean that she's versatile?
And do you think that...
What the heck? What is even that?
Does that mean having to do with the Titan Scream and the hardening? Can she use all the Titan's powers to a degree?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. She can harden like the armor titan. She can scream like the beast titan. She can be
fight
super
the
fast
crap out of everybody like
the attack titan. She's super
titan.
fast like the jaw titan. Pretty agile.
She can climb like the jaw titan too, because she could make the
claws.
Yeah. Can she do a little bit of an explosion like the colossal titan?
I don't know, maybe.
Can she do any type of Warhammer stuff? I don't know. She's versatile, but why is there a female titan when all of them were female originally, based on what we know?
Yeah.
And why is there only 9? Why did it stop at 9?
There are so many things we don't
still.
freaking know yet. It's not fair.
Okay. Can we go on to my last spoiler theory?
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the miners. So again, just because we watched it. Episode 25, season 1. There's this in the middle of the episode about the fight between Eren and Annie. Right after Annie's defeated, there's one of those like public information, public disclosure or whatever things. And it's a long story that's like 2 pages worth of this story. And it's a story about this miner who decides he wants to try and dig. He lives outside of Walsina and he wants to go underneath into the interior. So he's a miner. Grabs a shovel, he starts digging, and it's this whole story about how he tries to dig, and he digs super, super far and does it for 20 years, and he becomes the best miner that there is. And he gets down to like what he thinks is bedrock, and he strikes his shovel against the bedrock, and it shatters, right? Like it just broke because his shovel was steel, and this was obviously like Titan hardened crystal stuff. And he's like, I don't know what the heck that's about. And then the next page goes, and he's telling his friend, and they're at the tavern, and his friend's like, oh, don't say it too loud, otherwise the people will hear you. And then the miner, the original miner guy, like disappears. He vanishes, right? And then his friend goes and tells the authorities,
the military police.
And so they send out like a giant search party looking for the guy, and they can't find him. And then the friend also vanishes.
Oh no, he tells the garrison. Yeah,
he tells the garrison and the MPs. So
the garrison tell the MPs. Yeah.
And so we were saying, okay, well the second guy, his disappearance sounds like the work of Kenny and his whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
We thought
the cleanup crew.
Yeah,
Kenny's cleanup crew.
We thought that at the time during season 3. We were like, okay, that would kind of, because we remember this story. It's an interesting story. But the thing is like the miner has this theory. He goes, okay, the walls must be like, we're not only surrounded by walls above ground, we're also surrounded by walls
underground
as well. That seemed like they go on for forever. Okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because that is Titan. What we assume is under the walls, the foundation of these walls is Titan hardening stuff. Okay. So if above, and we know Ymir, it seems like Ymir formed these walls. She formed the 3 of them. She formed the Colossal Titans, which means she may have also formed the foundation of these walls. And if Eren has undone all Titan hardening, then then it's not just that the Titans, the Wall Titans are walking free, but what was underneath them has liquefied? Question mark.
Yeah,
like Annie's
maybe.
crystal.
Maybe.
Is there now 3 moats surrounding? Like and so here, okay. So pause on that thought. Next thought is part of the reason that Marley and the Azumapitos are interested in the island is because underneath the island is some sort of special resource. Is
some
it the
kind
crystal?
of glowy crystal thing.
Is the glowy crystal thing the stuff from the cavern where they did the ceremony, the Rice family stuff, their ceremonies and so on? If so, is all of that stuff disappeared now? Has the resource disappeared? Has it liquefied? Is it pure gasoline? Like what the frick? Like I'm just saying the story about the miners is so specific.
Yeah.
And so odd. I just think it'd be weird that it has no bearing on the show.
It kind of sounds to me almost like poetry.
Yeah.
The way it's written.
Yes, agreed.
Maybe we can ask Mako about this, but it seems like some kind of prose. Like it's the way it's written and translated, at least. It's kind of this like more artsy way of speaking.
Yeah, there once was a miner, and
yeah, what we know so far.
And even the way they end it, his sigh went deeper than any tunnel he had ever dug.
Exactly. Is this just some kind of lore?
Iceburst crystal, iceburst stone.
Yeah. Is this just some kind of like lore for now, or is this something that is deeper? Is there something true to this? Kind of like there was something that was true to Sonny and Bean, the cannibals,
Yeah.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that there's got to be something there, and there's got to be a connection between Annie and the ending. Like Annie must have some play, some. I just can't figure it out yet. Like I don't know. The
whole island just built out of Titan stuff?
That's what I'm saying. What if the island itself was sort of just
the whole
fabricated?
Entire thing. What if Ymir just literally made the whole island with the founding Titan's power?
Maybe she did. Maybe he commanded her to make them a paradise that they can be away from.
And she literally made the whole
But how do you get
thing.
dirt, and how do you get trees, and how do you
How do
get
you
all
have
that stuff?
sand in some parallel universe that you build Titans out of? Who the frick knows, man?
That's a good point. Good point.
I don't know. I mean, that's all I've got. I don't know about you guys.
That's my crazy wild theory, is that the entire island has been fabricated. The whole thing.
You said that you thought that maybe that was where the spinal creature came from, was that island?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh.
What if there's a whole bunch of them just like swimming around underneath there?
Hey, you're freaking me out, sister. What the
No.
heck?
I don't like it.
All right. Well,
Maybe that's why there's 9 Titans. 'Cause there were 9 little
theories
squiggle
abound.
beasts.
We are going to continue them on into next week's episode called Pride, and we shall see. Don't forget to email us, YouTube, all the good stuff. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.